Hi everyone, welcome back to Feather Stitch House. My name's Rebecca and each week on this channel I make videos about embroidery and textile art to help you get creative. We're in week 28 of this year's Winging It project, Pick the Pots. Each week I take a pick out of my 3 plant pots. The first has got colours in it, the second has shapes and the third has embroidery stitches. And we use those prompts to improvise a piece of textile art to put in our Pick of the Pots book. You can pick up and put down this project as much as you like. If you just want to do stitches that are new to you or colours that you don't normally use or just your favourites, it's absolutely fine. There is no pressure here. So all that said, I'm going to head into my studio and let's get picking. Right, week 28, new pick. So I'm going to start the stopwatch before I forget. And what are we going to get? Oh, I can't get hold of one. Right, be good. Oh, chartreuse. So that's a really sort of acid, sort of earthy yellow-green. Interesting colour. Worried that I haven't got any of it. You can see how hard it was for me to come up with 52 colours. Right, chartreuse. Right, what's our shape? A dart. Okay. I have no idea what I had in mind there, but you can interpret that however you wish. And what's our stitch going to be? Oh, herringbone stitch. I love herringbone stitch. Oh, that's a good one. I like that. How are we going to do that? I don't know, but I'm sure we're going to come up with something. So chartreuse or yellow-green, herringbone stitch and dart shape. So I'm going to Google dart and see what it says. And I'll go with whatever Google tells me. So, right, I'm going to go away and have a think. I'll demonstrate the stitch and then we'll make something. Right, I've got my hoop, I've got some chartreuse thread and I've drawn 2 parallel lines. This is going to be a really quick demo. It's a very simple stitch. It's like cross stitch, but we add an extra little step. So I'm going to come up on my top. Actually, let's start in the middle of the line. It's a nice way to begin. So I'm going to start right in the middle between those 2 lines, and I'm going to start by going diagonally up. And I want to, if I was doing a cross stitch, I'd maybe go at 45 degrees like that, or like that. But with herringbone, I want to go a little bit more shallow, like that. And before I make my cross backwards, I'm just going to hook my needle under the fabric and make a little, you can do these any size, let's go a bit bigger, little back stitch there. So I've just taken a little bite out of the fabric along the line and pull through like that. So I've gone up diagonally to the right and come back on myself a little bit. So now I'm going to come down diagonally to the right again. So I'm on my top line, I'm going to go all the way down to the bottom line, and I want to kind of echo that angle. So however steeply you've gone up there, you want to come down at roughly the same angle. So down to the bottom line, and I want to take another bite out of the fabric about the same size as the bite I took out here, like that, and pull through. So we've got this little crisscross here and our threads at the bottom. So now I want to go up to the right again, and if you want to, you can kind of lay your thread to make sure your angles are correct. So back on myself, I've gone up to the right to the top line and taken a little bite, going back to the left and pull through. And now I want to go back down to the right, try to keep the thread out of the way, and I want to go back to the left along the line to take a little bite. So up to the right, back to the left and take a little bite, and then down to the right, back to the left, take a little bite. You just want to make sure that loop is over the top, and that is herringbone stitch. It's actually a utility stitch. It's great for hems, or like blind hems or invisible hems. If you keep that bite really small, you can see you hardly have any thread shown on the back. So if these bites are tiny, they'll be virtually invisible on the front. So you can do an invisible or blind hem on curtains or clothes or whatever, and it will be almost invisible. And when you want to finish off, if you go up to the centre of the line like that, it gives a nice sort of balance to the stitch. Now, a really nice thing to do is do layers of these that are kind of offset. So if I come up at the start again where I began, this time I'm going to go down first, and I want to position my stitches sort of directly opposite the ones I've already made. So I want to go in and back and take a bite, and then I can go up and I want to make my stitch opposite the one that's already there. So up and take a bite, and then down and take a bite. And this looks really good if you do it in a different colour. So I'm not positioning these particularly well, I'm just trying to do it quickly to demonstrate. If you're more careful than I'm being, these will look really regular, but you create a kind of lattice that's really nice, and then you can finish in the middle like that. So you can also do these really close together and make kind of like a fill. So if I come down at a really shallow angle and take a little bite, and then go up at a very shallow angle, take a little bite almost back to where I started, and then down and take a bite back to the previous stitch, and up and take a bite back to the previous stitch, and just keep going like that. You can actually pack them really densely, and it creates a sort of textured fill. And you can do this following a shape as well, which, shall I demonstrate that? Maybe I should. So you get the idea, that's really densely packed. So not particularly even, but you get the idea. Let me just show you what that looks like if you do it on a shape. Okay, so I've drawn a leaf shape on here. I'm just going to turn it to the side to make it easier. But you would basically just do exactly what I've done, but rather than parallel lines, you would use the outline of your shape as a guide for your stitches, and you can make them as close or as widely spaced as possible. But I'm just going to the top line, doing a little bite backwards, going to the bottom line, making a little bite backwards, and you can use it to fill a shape quite nicely. So obviously at a wider part of the shape, they are going to look more spacious because there's more ground being covered. I'm making my backwards bites kind of big so that you can see what I'm doing. If I made them really small, these would sit really closely together. and you wouldn't be able to see much of the background colour. A bit like that. So that's herringbone used as a fill, and you could do another layer of that offset just like we did up here if you want to. So that is herringbone stitch, really simple one. It looks really lovely, particularly when you take your time and position your stitches perfectly. And yeah, let's see what we can make with this stitch and a dart shape. Right, here's my felt. Got a lovely chartreuse felt. I haven't got very much in this colour, so I've got the thread that I demoed the stitch with, and then I've got just a couple of chartreuse. I've bought a slightly lighter chartreuse out. So chartreuse is the liqueur. Apparently there's a rumour going around that it had stopped being produced. It hasn't, but it's got more expensive because they haven't increased production. I've got no idea what it tastes like. I'd imagine it tastes of grass, but that is my that's my sort of synesthesia that associates flavours and smells with colours. So there we go. So I wonder if you think that I'm cheating this week. I've decided I'm just going to go for it and hope the best. So I haven't got very much chartreuse fabric. I've got this linen and I've got some sort of grassy green. I don't know what I think of those two. I think I'm going to go with the linen, because when I thought about darts and I thought, oh, we can tessellate them, we could maybe do some patchwork, but then we did that last week, so I wanted to do something different. And the thing that I kept thinking of when the word dart was used was dressmaking. Now, I'm not a dressmaker. I used to make clothes when I was a teenager and in my early 20s, but I haven't made clothes for a very, very long time. I think I made a skirt about 15 years ago, and I made my daughter a fairy costume when she was about 3, and that's it for dressmaking. But I do know enough to know that darts are a way of turning flat fabric into a garment that fits the body, and the Great British Sewing Bee is about to start again in the UK, so I thought this would be a really good opportunity. So not really, I mean, I am using a dart shape, but I'm not making a picture out of dart shapes. I'm going to make a miniature top for a Barbie. So I hope you don't think that's a cheat. So what I'm going to do, I've got my linen, I've just kind of pressed it, I'm going to fold it, and this is a pattern. I just got it off Google. I googled dart pattern and a picture came up of loads of it's this, I printed it out. So if you find that, that's what I've used, and I've just traced that. I'll try and find it and link it in the description. So I'm going to make a pattern piece like this. How are we going to get the herringbone stitch in? I don't know. But I thought we might just do some lines of herringbone in the background and add this on. Right, so my dart is going to go here. I'm just going to puncture the paper there, and that will show where my darts are going to come to, because we're going to put some darts in our little Barbie top. So I'm just going to put a line there, and then join up these lines here. And this is going to cinch it in at the waist and make it 3-dimensional. And I might put it on the back of my, I might put it on sort of inside out so that you can see the darts. I thought that might be a fun idea. So I'm hoping this is going to be quite quick. So I'm going to cut that out, folded, so then I'll have a symmetrical garment. So I wonder, if you're across the pond, do you get the Great British Sewing Bee? And if not, do you have an alternative? Because I know you get the Great British Bake Off, except it's not called that. It's the Great British Baking Show, I think. So I know you get that and enjoy our absolutely quintessentially British humour with Alison Hammond being inappropriate. But do you get the Sewing Bee? And do you get the Pottery Throwdown? Because the whole, I think it's a company called Love Productions, and I think there's a whole raft of these competition shows. But I love the Great British Sewing Bee. Who's hosting it now? I can't even remember. Right, I can't get my darts in because I can't see them, so I've just cut the dart shape out. So there's our dart shape, look, it is there. And I just want to, let's just fold it along that line. And then if I pop it on, I'll be able to get that dart in there as well. Right, jolly good. Can't remember who's hosting it these days. It changed last year. It's had lots of hosts. But somebody that I like who doesn't know anything about clothes or dressmaking. Can't remember. Anyway. It used to be Joe Lycett, and it has been Sarah Pascoe, who I absolutely adore, and Claudia Winkleman has done it as well. So there's been quite a few hosts, and it's, I don't know, somebody new, and I can't remember who. Right, let's put these darts in. So let's do the waist darts first. So what we're going to do is match up these lines like that and just sew along the dart. So I'm going to, a bit like I did the patchwork last week, I'm going to do running stitch with an occasional back stitch just to lock it. I'm glad you liked the egg. I really didn't. I was a little bit embarrassed of it, and was kind of worried about posting it because it was one of those ones that I was trying to do it in a rush and I didn't have a lot of time to be creative, and I thought about the patchwork idea and then kind of felt like I'd ruined it, but it seems to have gone down quite well, and I've seen some lovely versions of the patchwork Fabergé egg. So yeah, thanks for being supportive. It's good to know, and it's funny. There are several that I've posted and thought, oh, I hated that one. How embarrassing, but it's ended up going down really well, and you've all been very positive about it. So I can never really tell what's going to work and what isn't, and because I improvise all of these, they are what they are. They either go well or they don't. There's not much I can do about it. Right, so that's one dart. look, it's already a different shape. So this is why I think I want to put it upside down so that you can see the dart. Right, same on the other side. Just finger press that to keep it open. So yeah, I'm hoping for a calmer July. It's been so frantic during June, just because of the strictness of the deadlines that I've been working to, and just trying to fit in my marking with filming and editing and getting everything done on time. It has really left me no time for anything else. So all I've done for 4 weeks is film videos, edit videos, and mark GCSE papers. And I've barely been outside. I haven't had a day off, so I'm really tired and really ready for a calmer, slightly more creative July, because I feel like my creative reserves have just been completely depleted. I've done a couple of workshops as well, so I've had that in the mix as well. So yeah, it's kind of back to normal now, and because I haven't got any shows until October, I think I do want to get a little bit ahead on filming, because I'm away in August and October will be very, very busy, because I have 3 shows and it's our main Christmas run. But now that seems shallower. That doesn't seem to have gone as far up. Oh, so this is where improvisation makes you come a cropper. Let's make sure the darts go to the same spot, shall we? So yeah, October is going to be really busy and I'm away in August, so I want to kind of get ahead and free myself up to start thinking about next year and what I'm going to do next year and all of that kind of stuff. So looking forward to a slower pace through July, and I think it comes of all that time being a teacher. Oh look, it's a little top. Right, let's do these bust starts now. This is just a line, so what do I need to do? I need to cut out a notch. That's what I need to do. Or I'm not going to notch it, actually. I'm just going to do what I've done before. So let's just put in a little dart shape there. So if you want to do this, you could then do a bit of trapunto and add some filling to this so that it's like it holds its 3-dimensional shape. If you're working in the book, you might not want to do that, but there is going to be a bit of dimension to this. Yeah, all those years of working in a school where July, having summer holidays, July definitely feels like a bit of a wind down. So exams normally finish completely in the 2nd or 3rd week of June, and so your exam classes leave. So that's year 13 who've just done their A levels and year 11 who have just done their GCSEs, and they all go after their exams, and so school empties out a little bit, and a lot of schools do lots of enrichment stuff, and like in English we used to do a magazine project with year 9 after year 11 had gone, and they'd be able to, create a magazine on a topic that they chose and create all the articles for it and sort of publish it, print it all and that kind of stuff. So we do that kind of stuff, and it feels like the downward slope, really. So the end of June and the first couple of weeks of July, as you're running up to the summer holidays, it feels like the downhill, and so much of it feels like the uphill. It's just a relief. So, and the weather has just been so good in the UK. We had a bit of a cold snap last week. I was wearing a jumper last week. Again, it went down to about 13 degrees after being, so it was 30 on Monday and 13 by the end of the week. And we can't get acclimatised. I did say the other week, just cannot get a handle on the weather at all. So 1 minute you're boiling, the next minute you're freezing, and then you're boiling again. So it's back up to like 26 again today when I'm filming. And that's kind of all right for me. That's getting to my upper limit, but much above 30, and I don't like it. But yeah, don't come for me, because we don't have air conditioning, and we've got carpets and double glazing and central heating, and everywhere's really hot. Everything's really well insulated, and so it's hard to keep your home cool. You can't go anywhere to cool off. So, and it's just, I don't know, the heat is different here. It's quite oppressive. But I do love the sun. I love it when the sun's out. So, yeah. What was I saying? Yeah, it's been lovely weather. I feel free again. My daughter's about to break up from school for the summer, so I get to see her a bit more. And yeah, it's all feeling positive. Right, that's my little top. Let's press it so that we get rid of those pen marks, and kind of shape it a little bit. This is where you need a tailor's ham or something, don't you? But it's a little bit small to warrant that, and I don't have one because I don't do a lot of dressmaking. So there we go. Right, a little darted top. Now I think I am going to put it on that way so that the darts are visible. How are we going to get herringbone? Or do I do it that way and have it really subtle? Maybe I should do it that way and put some filling in it. I don't know. You can all shout at me through the screen and tell me what to do. I kind of wish I'd done it in the pattern fabric now. It's looking a bit boring. Right, I'm going to have a think about it. Let's put some herringbone stitch on to our background just to make it look more interesting. So we can do different we can make the stitches deeper and shallower and just sort of vary it a little bit. So I'm just putting some lines in as a guide. So quite a simplistic one this week, but I bet you didn't expect to be doing any dressmaking on Pick of the Pots. I need a refill in my pen, I think. Let's do a miniature layer at the bottom. Right, let's get some herringbone stitch going. So I'm not going to make you watch me do all this because I've demonstrated it. I'm just going to be doing the same thing over and over again, but just going to stitch along these lines with my chartreuse thread. If you want to go a bit off piste, there is a green dart frog. There is a green dart plant. So I've gone for dressmaking darts, but you could go to the world of amphibians, or you could go to the world of plants. There are darts, so I did think about a dartboard and actually making some darts, but it just didn't feel like me. So there are lots of ways that you can interpret this prompt. So I think because I've gone slightly off-piste, that's where I've got to so far. I think that gives you a bit of freedom. So I'm going to just stitch loads of herringbone into the background, and then I'll attach my little garment in whatever way seems best. If I do anything interesting, I'll come back and show you, but I'm just going to stitch in my herringbone background, and then we'll work out what to do with our little top. Right, here we go. I have stitched all my herringbone, left a couple of bands unstitched just so the felt showed through, but I did some sort of overlapping herringbone there, and I've played around with spacing and things like that, and then I've put my little darted garment. I did do it inside out, I wanted the darts to show, and I've just used, I wonder if you can see, just an invisible tacking stitch just around the outside edge, so it's kept its three-dimensional shape without needing to be stuffed, and that allows it to flatten a little bit in the book. So I wonder if you think I've cheated by not using an actual dart shape, but it is there. I mean, that is a dart shape. So here's our egg from last week. If you haven't seen it, I did do a halfway flip through. I'll link the video up here, and I've just gone through the whole of the book, the first book so far. I've got my Pritt stick back from my daughter. So if you want to have a look back at the first 6 months of this project, you can go and watch that video. I've also just uploaded an update on my other stitch along, which is called Postcards from the Hedge, and I've been running that on Ko-fi, but there's a little bit of an update on that, and I'll link that video up here, but I'll also put it on the end card so that you can watch that, because it is now available on YouTube through memberships. And if you want to just be a supporter of the channel, you can also do that for just 99p a month, and it just helps keep this channel running. So what is the date? I have totally lost track. It is the 13th, Sunday the 13th of the 7th, 25. Just distracted myself there. This doesn't bode well, does it? Has she learned nothing? I think now that I know that the book won't close, it kind of doesn't matter what I do. So we had dart shape, chartreuse was the colour. So chartreuse was kind of irrelevant. We could have done this in any colour, but I quite like it. I do like these earthy greens. And then herringbone stitch was our stitch. So that's it for this week. Do check out those other videos and see if Postcards from the Hedge is something that you want to join in with. In the meantime, that's our dart shape, herringbone, chartreuse panel for this week. Really looking forward to seeing what you do with these prompts. Do share in our private Facebook group. There's a link to that in the description below. You can also post on Instagram. Just use hashtag FSH Winging It 2025, and don't forget to tag me at Feather Stitch House, and that way I'm more likely to see what you've created. Thank you so much for joining me, and I will be back next week with another pick. Have a great week, everybody. Take care, and I'll see you very soon. Bye.